we played I played in Grand Junction, Colorado, Saturday, which was my birthday. And I'm doing my normal, what I thought was rocking.
They called it a feud, a spectacle, even a ratings gimmick. But the truth about Blake Shelton and Kelly Clarkson is far stranger, far more intimate. Two stars from rival worlds, country grit and pop fire, colliding on stage again and again, until their laughter became a language of its own. The buzz around Blake Shelton hit a fever pitch this past May when he dropped a comment during an interview that nobody saw coming. One of those raw, unscripted moments that made fans stop in their tracks and question everything they thought they knew about him and his longtime friend/frenemy, Kelly Clarkson. For years, audiences have been glued to their sparring on The Voice, those relentless roasts, side eyes, playful jabs, and unshakable chemistry that seemed too sharp and too natural to be just scripted TV antics. People speculated endlessly. Was it an act? A rivalry? Or something deeper that fans weren't privy to? Well, Blake finally gave them something that felt like an answer, though it wasn't delivered in some polished PR package. Instead, it came out as an offhand, unfiltered, jaw-dropping remark that instantly changed the way people viewed their relationship and turned the internet into a frenzy. It happened live on Kelly's own talk show, the studio buzzing with that kind of electricity you can almost feel through the screen. The cameras, audience, and lights all conspired to set the perfect stage. Kelly making her bold entrance in an electric blue power suit, bursting with energy, commanding the room like it was her home turf. While Blake ambled out a beat later, all denim, boots, and small-town charm, carrying himself with that mischievous smirk that screams he's in on a joke the rest of us haven't figured out yet. The contrast between the two was comedy gold before either of them even opened their mouths, and the banter lit off right away. Kelly poked fun at his latest track, mocking him for singing about Texas when he was born and raised in Ada, Oklahoma. The crowd roared, and Blake, ever the sly fox, just leaned into it with a shrug to the camera, letting everyone in on his calm, knowing vibe. But then came the moment, the slip, the bombshell, the line that launched 1,000 memes. Without skipping a beat, Blake smirked and said, "Kelly and I are so inbred, we probably share a toothbrush." The audience froze, the kind of hush that feels like the air got sucked out of the room. For a heartbeat, no one knew whether to laugh or gasp. But then, chaos exploded. Kelly doubled over, laughing so hard she couldn't breathe, her hands clutching at imaginary pearls, tears streaming as she tried and failed to get a word out. The audience screamed, some in hysterics, others in disbelief. And Blake, ever composed in his cowboy cool, just piled it on, elaborating that their lives were so tangled. Same managers, same writers, even the same in-laws at one point, that if they really did swap toothbrushes, tabloids wouldn't know how to spin it. He winked at the camera, daring the world to keep up, while Kelly lost every ounce of composure. By the time the segment ended, clips of the exchange were already blowing up online, spreading faster than wildfire. Within an hour, millions had watched it, and comments poured in. Knew it. Wait, did he really say that? Is inbred just an Oklahoma way of saying soulmates? Even Blake's publicist couldn't resist posting a single cowboy hat emoji on social media, neither clarifying nor denying a thing. It was cheeky, shocking, and somehow perfect. Of course, nobody seriously thinks Blake and Kelly are cousins. What he meant was that Nashville and the country pop music world are like an incestuous little town where everyone knows everyone, and careers overlap in ways that outsiders can barely comprehend. Their history is knotted with shared managers, songwriters, friends, and even ex-family members, most notably Kelly's ex-husband, Brandon Blackstock, son of Blake's longtime manager, Narvel Blackstock. That connection alone meant the two of them were running in the same orbits years before television audiences got hooked on their banter. Add in producers who worked on both their records, writers who penned songs for both, and friends who've toured with both. And it's clear their world is one giant pretzel of intertwined lives. That's why the roasting between them feels so natural. It's not a manufactured TV feud, but a rhythm built from 2 decades of bumping into each other in studios, award show green rooms, industry barbecues, and even family events. Their inbred closeness is less about bloodlines and more about surviving the messy, overlapping chaos of a small industry, a place where everyone has history with everyone. Their story goes back much further than The Voice. In 2006, long before Kelly was hosting daytime TV, or Blake was the towering icon he is now, they crossed paths in the smoky, sticky floor bars of Nashville, where careers were being forged in sweat and grit. Kelly was tearing up stages with raw, rock-edged performances, determined to prove she wasn't just an American Idol winner, but an artist with something to say. Blake was already on his way, riding hits like Austin, and cultivating that down-home charisma that would soon make him a household name. They swapped numbers casually, not knowing just how important that connection would become. Over the years, as both navigated the brutal grind of the music business, fights with labels, public divorces, relentless media scrutiny, they became lifelines for each other. When Kelly married Brandon, Blake wasn't just there because of work ties. He was cracking jokes at the rehearsal dinner, part of the fabric of her life. And when that marriage imploded in the public eye years later, Blake didn't offer platitudes online. He sent late-night memes and ridiculous videos, keeping her laughing when the headlines felt unbearable. That's the side of their friendship fans never see. The midnight calls, the check-ins, the quiet support that makes the on-camera roasting feel not only safe, but rooted in real trust. Kelly, of course, has always been known for her unflinching honesty, the kind that's landed her in hot water as often as it's won her admiration. She clashed famously with her label in 2007 when she insisted on releasing My December, an album she wrote herself, raw and uncompromising, while Clive Davis publicly criticized her songwriting. She stood her ground, branded difficult, for daring to want artistic control. Blake didn't wade into the public fight, but he checked in, privately voicing how much he hated seeing her dragged simply for speaking her truth. In 2018, when she casually admitted in an interview that she sometimes spanked her kids, a parenting firestorm erupted online, with critics questioning her fitness as a mom. Blake never posted a defense, but he texted her to say she was a great mother. Simple words that carried more weight than 100 press statements. And in 2023, when reports surfaced of alleged toxic conditions behind the scenes at her talk show, though staff were clear that Kelly herself wasn't responsible, her name was still splashed across headlines. Blake didn't make a public stand, but soon pizza trucks began showing up for the crew on Fridays, quietly funded by someone in Nashville. To those who knew, the message was unmistakable. He had her back. That balance defines them. Kelly, the firebrand who charges straight into the storm, Blake, the steady anchor who never lets her weather it alone. So when Blake made his inbred crack, fans didn't just laugh. They recognized the deeper truth of it. The internet reaction was swift and insane, with Twitter exploding in equal parts hysteria and analysis. One fan dubbed them Chandler and Joey in Die 20 Wranglers, while another stitched together old photos of Blake's mullet and Kelly's Idol era highlights under the caption, "Inbred Icons Since." Dial up. Instagram ran with endless polls asking if they were siblings or soulmates, and the vast majority chose siblings, confirming that the public was finally seeing their relationship as the sibling-like bond it had always been. TikTok went wild, splicing Blake's comment into skits about awkward office romances and tangled family trees. And even Kelly's mom chimed in with laughing emojis. showing that the Clarkson family was very much in on the joke. But the moment also ignited something bigger, a demand for a duet. On the show, Kelly, still catching her breath from laughing, threw down the challenge that if they were so inbred, Blake needed to get on a record with her. Blake, smirking, agreed, but only if he got to yodel. That exchange was all fans needed. Within minutes, the hashtag #ChangerYodelWithKelly was trending, and the campaign for a collaboration was born. This wasn't a new wish. Blake had once told Billboard back in 2012 that he wanted to sing with her before they got too old. But now, in their 40s, the call felt urgent and undeniable. Social media became a battleground of memes, petitions, and fan edits, all demanding the same thing, a Shelton Clarkson duet. And rumor mills began churning that Kelly's next album had an open feature slot, which fans were certain belonged to Blake. The genius of Blake's offhand remark is that it did more than spark laughter. It cemented a brand. He and Kelly are now officially the country cousins, their chaotic, roast-filled, sibling-like dynamic out in the open for the world to see. It wasn't a scandal, nor some calculated publicity stunt. It was just an honest, hilarious acknowledgement of the truth that fans had sensed all along. Their bond is real, messy, and unbreakable. Going forward, their on-screen antics are only bound to get wilder. The gloves are off, the inside jokes are public, and the chemistry is undeniable. Every exaggerated sigh from Kelly, every smirk from Blake, every over-the-top roast will carry new weight, because fans now know the history behind it. Yet what makes their connection magnetic isn't just the humor. It's the loyalty beneath it. They've been through divorces, label wars, industry politics, and relentless public scrutiny, and they've come out still laughing together. That's what fans connect to. It's not about rivalry, but resilience. And while a full tour together may not be realistic, with their packed schedules, Kelly's Vegas commitments and Blake's own projects make that nearly impossible for now. The door is wide open for smaller collaborations, a surprise single, a CMT Crossroads episode, maybe even a one-off streaming special. Whatever it looks like, the audience is ready, hungry, and primed for it. If Blake Shelton's toothbrush comment confirmed anything, it was that his connection with Kelly Clarkson has always been more than surface-level television shtick. And unpacking that bond requires peeling back layers of history, personality, and shared experience that stretch far beyond what audiences usually see. To understand why the moment landed with such force, you have to recognize the unique chemistry that has been brewing between them for nearly 2 decades. Both Kelly and Blake represent archetypes deeply rooted in American culture. She's the fiercely independent pop-rock powerhouse from small-town Texas, catapulted into stardom by the machinery of American Idol, but refusing to be shaped by it, while he's the tall, laid-back country crooner from Oklahoma, exuding the kind of slow-drawled charm that seems tailor-made for honky-tonk stages and fishing docks. They shouldn't have meshed, at least not on paper. But the reality is that they've always been two sides of the same coin. Both stubborn, both sarcastic, both willing to laugh at themselves, and both weathered by an industry that takes no prisoners. When they collided in the public sphere, first as industry acquaintances, then as fellow judges on The Voice, and eventually as talk show sparring partners, the result wasn't just entertaining, it was combustible. The Voice in particular became the incubator for their chaotic sibling-like rhythm. Unlike other reality competition shows that thrived on polished judges or forced rivalries, The Voice found lightning in a bottle with the Shelton Clarkson interplay. Fans tuned in not just to watch contestants belt their hearts out, but to see Kelly roll her eyes at Blake's ridiculous jokes, or Blake tease Kelly about her pop star sparkle, while she shot back with zingers about his cowboy wardrobe. Their exchanges were raw, fast, and unfiltered, in a way that no script could manufacture. Producers leaned into it, cameras practically salivating at every glance, sigh, or sarcastic quip. Yet the reason it worked so well was that it wasn't fake. What Blake's recent slip confirmed is what longtime viewers always suspected: that the teasing was born from a friendship forged in the trenches. A relationship that was unshakable precisely because it had been built outside of the spotlight before ever being showcased on TV. Fans, however, don't just love the banter for its comedic value. They love it because it feels familiar. Everyone has that one friend who teases mercilessly, but is also the first to show up when the chips are down. Blake and Kelly embody that universal archetype, their humor underscored by loyalty, which makes their interactions not just entertaining, but deeply relatable. When Blake threw out his inbred remark, fans laughed. Yes, but they also recognized the shorthand of a relationship so intertwined it defies easy categorization. They saw themselves in it: siblings, best friends, cousins who are close enough to be mistaken for twins in spirit. That recognition fueled the frenzy, because the joke wasn't just outrageous. It rang true. Nashville insiders, meanwhile, weren't surprised at all. For years, the country music capital has operated like a small town masquerading as an industry hub. Songwriters, managers, producers, and artists are constantly overlapping, attending the same barbecues, weddings, and benefit concerts. It's not unusual for one producer to work on albums for artists who couldn't be more different on paper, or for ex-in-laws to wind up managing the careers of new partners. For those who live inside that ecosystem, Blake's country cousins quip wasn't shocking. It was simply the truth, wrapped in Shelton's signature dry wit. In fact, many Nashville insiders quietly chuckled that it took this long for the rest of the world to catch up to the reality they've always known: that the industry is one big extended family tree, and Blake and Kelly just happen to occupy branches that keep twisting together. From an industry standpoint, the viral moment opened a floodgate of opportunity. Brands are already circling, eager to capitalize on the duo's new country cousins identity. Imagine the possibilities: a toothbrush company cheekily offering them a joint endorsement deal, a streaming platform pushing for a Blake and Kelly co-hosted special, or even the Country Music Association inviting them to co-host its next awards show. In the age of viral branding, where authenticity trumps polish, their off-handed banter has become a gold mine. Neither of them needs the publicity. Both are already household names, but together, they create a cultural phenomenon bigger than the sum of their parts. But perhaps the most compelling fallout from Blake's confession is the renewed demand for music. Fans have been clamoring for a duet for over a decade, their pleas growing louder with each season of The Voice, each red carpet appearance, each viral moment. The Latter Yodel with Kelly campaign is just the latest and most forceful iteration of this demand. For fans, a duet would be the ultimate payoff, the culmination of years of watching their chemistry unfold. And the timing couldn't be more perfect. Kelly, now firmly in her 40s, is embracing a new chapter of artistry, blending her pop-rock roots with the maturity of lived experience. Blake, having stepped away from The Voice, is more focused on music and personal projects than ever before. The stars, in other words, are aligned. Speculation about what such a duet might sound like has become its own subculture online. Some envision a classic country ballad infused with Kelly's powerhouse vocals, a tearjerker that would rival Don't You Wanna Stay, her iconic duet with Jason Aldean. Others imagine something playful and tongue-in-cheek, a light-hearted anthem that leans into their banter rather than burying it. Still others dream of a full-blown crossover hit, blending pop rock with country twang, creating a song that would dominate both Nashville radio and mainstream charts. Whatever form it takes, fans agree on one thing: the collaboration is inevitable, and when it arrives, it will be seismic. Yet the significance of their dynamic goes beyond music or viral fame. Blake and Kelly's bond resonates because it reflects something audiences crave in the current cultural moment: authenticity. In an era when celebrity feuds often feel manufactured for headlines and friendships look staged for Instagram likes, their relationship cuts through the noise. It's messy, sarcastic, unpolished, and rooted in real history. They don't sugarcoat their jabs, nor do they rush to publicly defend each other at every turn. But when the stakes are high, the loyalty is undeniable. That kind of honesty feels refreshing in a media landscape saturated with curated perfection. Fans aren't just watching two stars, they're watching two humans who genuinely enjoy each other's company, flaws and all. It's also worth noting how their respective backgrounds amplify the appeal. Kelly's journey from small-town Texas to global stardom via a reality competition is a quintessential American story. The underdog who fought her way to the top, refusing to be molded by industry executives. Blake's rise, meanwhile, is the embodiment of the country boy dream. A guitar, a drawl, a few hits, and an uncanny ability to win over both small-town bars and massive stadiums. Together, they symbolize the merging of two cultural worlds, pop and country, Texas and Oklahoma, city lights and back roads. Their friendship becomes a metaphor for America itself. Diverse, chaotic, sometimes conflicting, but ultimately bound together by humor, grit, and shared experience. Fans sense this larger symbolism, which is why they react so passionately to every new development. When Blake teased about toothbrushes, it wasn't just a joke. It was a cultural Rorschach test, inviting people to project their own ideas of family, friendship, and loyalty onto the duo. Some see them as siblings, locked in eternal squabbles but inseparable. Others see them as soulmates of a platonic kind. Two people whose connection transcends labels. Whatever the interpretation, the conclusion is the same. Their bond is rare, real, and worth celebrating. The media, of course, has seized on this moment with gusto. Headlines blared with sensational interpretations, some tongue-in-cheek. Do Blake and Kelly share dental floss too? Others more earnest, analyzing what the joke revealed about their friendship. Talk shows replayed the clip endlessly, while podcasts dedicated full episodes to dissecting the chaos. Yet, even amid the media circus, one truth stood out. Blake's remark worked because it wasn't calculated. It wasn't a PR stunt, nor a carefully crafted reveal. It was, like so much of what makes him beloved, unfiltered. That rawness is what fans crave, and what keeps them invested long after the moment has passed. Looking forward, the question isn't whether Blake and Kelly will collaborate more. It's when, how, and in what form. A joint Vegas residency, though logistically ambitious, would be a blockbuster, uniting fans of both genres under one neon-soaked roof. A co-hosted award show could reinvigorate ceremonies that often feel stale, injecting humor and authenticity into the proceedings. Even a limited podcast or web series capturing their behind-the-scenes banter could become a cultural juggernaut. The possibilities are endless, and the appetite is insatiable. In the broader context of celebrity culture, their story also serves as a reminder of the power of friendship narratives. Fans often latch onto romantic pairings, will they won't they dynamics, secret relationships, or messy breakups. But in an age where romance often feels overexposed, it's the friendships that resonate more deeply. Blake and Kelly prove that you don't need romance to create sparks. Sometimes, the strongest connections are platonic, rooted in trust, laughter, and shared chaos. By leaning into that narrative, they've carved out a space in pop culture that feels both refreshing and necessary. The aftermath of Blake Shelton's Country Cousins, quip didn't die down after a viral weekend. It snowballed into a cultural phenomenon that nobody, not even Blake himself, could have predicted. By the following week, television producers were scrambling to replay the clip. Entertainment magazines splashed it across covers with headlines screaming about toothbrushes and tangled roots, and social media couldn't let it go. But the real story wasn't just about a joke. It was about what that moment unlocked in the public imagination. Fans began to crave not only more of Blake and Kelly's banter, but also deeper insight into what really happens when the cameras stop rolling. And that curiosity birthed a wave of speculation, storytelling, and even fan-created universes that blurred the line between reality and legend. Behind the scenes, those who've worked with the pair started quietly confirming what viewers suspected. The chaos on stage is a watered-down version of the chaos backstage. Producers from The Voice reminisced about moments when Kelly would storm into Blake's dressing room mid-taping, waving a bag of chips she'd stolen from craft services, only to find Blake deadpanning about how Oklahoma invented barbecue while she argued Texas did it better. Sound techs remembered trying not to laugh into their headsets as the two traded insults during mic checks, Blake pretending to serenade Kelly with a terrible twang, Kelly responding by blasting a whistle to drown him out. Crew members even whispered about the countless times producers had to cut segments short because the banter had spiraled into a full-on comedy show, leaving contestants waiting in the wings for their chance to sing. Those off-camera antics were never meant for public consumption, but Blake's recent confession cracked the door wide open, making fans realize that the friendship they see on stage is just the tip of the iceberg. This new awareness sent ripple effects across the entertainment industry. Networks recognized the value of authentic chaos, of friendships that audiences could invest in without the shadow of romance rumors or contrived storylines. Suddenly, executives were looking at their own shows, wondering which pairings might capture the same magic. Casting directors scoured for duos that could embody the Shelton Clarkson effect, while late-night hosts leaned harder into their own banter with guests, hoping to bottle some of that viral lightning. Even rival talent shows began considering whether their judge panels needed less polish and more unpredictable chemistry. In many ways, Blake and Kelly had reset the standard, not for romance-driven entertainment, but for friendship-driven spectacle. Meanwhile, brands wasted no time in trying to cash in. Oral care companies saw an obvious hook, reaching out with tongue-in-cheek offers for joint toothbrush ads. One mock-up ad campaign leaked online, showing Kelly holding a glittery pink toothbrush and Blake wielding a rugged wood-handled one, with the tagline, "Different strokes, same sparkle." The leak itself went viral, fans begging for it to become real. Other companies jumped on board too. Country boot designers pitching limited edition Cousins Collection boots. Soda brands offering to sponsor a Blake and Kelly backyard barbecue special. And even Netflix floating the idea of a buddy comedy series starring the two as exaggerated versions of themselves. Though neither has publicly signed onto such ventures, the fact that corporations are circling proves the point. Their friendship has become marketable currency. The most powerful force, however, has been the fans. Fueled by the wildfire spread of Blake's comment, online communities began mobilizing in ways that shocked even longtime observers of stan culture. Twitter threads mapped out the intricate web of connections in their lives, complete with diagrams that looked more like conspiracy boards than family trees. Reddit users swapped stories of times they'd seen Blake and Kelly at industry events, recalling every laugh, every eye roll, every side glance as though decoding a treasure map. TikTok creators built entire skits around the toothbrush joke, with one particularly viral video showing two roommates fighting over who forgot to buy toothpaste, ending with a caption, "Country Cousins Vibes." Within days, millions of views piled up, and the clip became the unofficial anthem of the fandom. The fandom even organized petitions demanding that Blake and Kelly record a duet immediately. Within a week, Change.org hosted multiple campaigns, some framed humorously, "Let Blake Yodel 2025, others deadly serious, citing artistic justice as their reason. Thousands signed, sharing the petitions across Instagram stories, tagging record labels and music executives. The grassroots energy was undeniable. Fans weren't just laughing, they were actively shaping the narrative, forcing the industry to reckon with the idea that a Shelton Clarkson duet wasn't optional anymore. It was a cultural requirement. Interestingly, this frenzy also sparked debates in think pieces and cultural commentary. Writers for music magazines began comparing Blake and Kelly to other iconic duos, but with a twist. Their bond was one of the rare few not built on romance or family, but on chaotic friendship. Comparisons were drawn to duos like Tina Fey and Amy Poehler, whose comedic synergy transcends the stage, or even Simon Cowell and Paula Abdul, whose early idol bickering captivated millions. But while those duos were either professional or tinged with speculation, Blake and Kelly stood apart because their bond carried history, loyalty, and real-life entanglement. Critics noted that their relationship offered something refreshing, proof that male-female dynamics in entertainment don't always need to lead to romance narratives. In an era oversaturated with gossip about who's dating whom, Blake and Kelly's sibling-like chaos was a reminder that platonic bonds can be just as compelling, if not more so. And yet, beneath the laughter, the toothbrush quip also highlighted the resilience both had shown in their careers. Each had been through storms, public divorces, career pivots, scrutiny from tabloids. And yet, here they stood, still laughing, still roasting, still showing up for each other. That kind of longevity is rare in the entertainment industry, where friendships often buckle under pressure or fade as careers diverge. For Blake and Kelly, however, the chaos has only strengthened the connection. That's why the public latched onto the joke so fiercely. It wasn't just about toothbrushes, it was about survival. It was about two people who had seen the worst and still chose laughter. Speculation about the future has only intensified. Some fans dream of a co-written memoir, an oral history of their intertwined careers, filled with behind-the-scenes stories that only they could tell. Others envision a Netflix documentary that captures their friendship with the same rawness as Taylor Swift's or Beyoncé's music films, blending concert footage with candid conversations. Industry insiders whisper that talks of a joint tour, while ambitious, aren't off the table, especially if fan pressure keeps mounting. Even the idea of a surprise single dropping without warning has gained traction, with fans refreshing Spotify daily just in case. What makes all this possible is the unique cultural space Blake and Kelly occupy together. They're not just entertainers, they're cultural symbols. Blake embodies the enduring cowboy archetype, a figure of humor and heart who keeps one foot firmly planted in small-town values while navigating global stardom. Kelly represents the fiery resilience of the underdog who refuses to compromise her truth, no matter how loud the critics get. Together, they create a narrative of balance. Cowboy charm meets pop star fire. Oklahoma drawl meets Texas grit. Slow, smirking humor meets sharp-tongued honesty. That balance doesn't just entertain, it inspires. This inspiration is particularly resonant in 2025, a cultural moment defined by skepticism toward celebrity. Audiences no longer trust polished images or overly managed personas. They crave messiness, honesty, imperfection. And Blake and Kelly deliver that in spades. Their friendship is a reminder that even in an industry built on appearances, authenticity can still win. It's why fans feel invested not just in their jokes, but in their well-being. When Kelly faced her painful divorce, fans saw Blake's support as proof that the humor they share is grounded in real care. When Blake stepped away from The Voice, fans turned to Kelly's reaction as the true measure of what it meant. Every moment between them has become a cultural touchstone, a chance for audiences to see authenticity shine through the noise. Looking further ahead, the impact of their dynamic could even extend to the next generation of artists. Young singers entering Nashville or Hollywood are watching how Blake and Kelly navigate their bond, learning that authenticity doesn't need to be sacrificed for entertainment, that humor and loyalty can coexist in the spotlight. For an industry often criticized for its ruthless competitiveness, their example is radical. It says, you can win, you can laugh, and you can hold on to the people who matter, even when the world is watching. As for Blake and Kelly themselves, they seem blissfully unbothered by the storm they've created. Blake has doubled down on his playful smugness, posting cryptic cowboy emojis or shrugging off questions with a grin, while Kelly leans into the chaos with laughter, hinting on her show that maybe toothbrush sharing isn't the worst metaphor after all. Their refusal to over-explain or sanitize the moment only fuels the fire. In a culture where celebrities often rush to clarify, deny, or spin every viral moment, their decision to simply let the chaos ride has only made them more beloved. And that's the heart of why the toothbrush joke mattered so much. It wasn't just funny, it was freeing. It freed fans from overthinking the feud narrative, freed the media from framing their bond as rivalry, and freed Blake and Kelly themselves from the need to pretend. In one offhand comment, Blake gave the world permission to see their relationship exactly as it is: messy, chaotic, hilarious, loyal, and entirely unfiltered. That's not just entertainment, that's legacy. Because years from now, when the viral clips have faded and new stars dominate headlines, people will still remember Blake Shelton looking into a camera and saying he and Kelly Clarkson were so inbred they probably shared a toothbrush. They'll remember the laughter, the chaos, the memes, the campaigns, the petitions, the endless debates about siblings versus soulmates. And they'll remember it not just as a funny quote, but as a cultural moment that redefined how we think about celebrity friendships. In an industry addicted to polish, Blake and Kelly chose chaos. And in doing so, they reminded us all that sometimes the most powerful stories aren't about who loves whom, but about who laughs with whom, loudly, unapologetically, and without end. The true brilliance of Blake Shelton's Country Cousins moment is how it managed to expand his and Kelly Clarkson's story into something much larger than either of them could have engineered. For years, their friendship was known, loved, and memed, but it lived mostly in the realm of entertainment gossip and fan chatter. With one offhand remark, Blake pushed it into the territory of cultural folklore, something people reference not just as a funny TV moment, but as shorthand for a whole brand of chaotic authenticity. And the longer the frenzy has lingered, the clearer it has become that this isn't fading into the background like so many viral blips. It's evolving into legend. The chaos has also sparked renewed appreciation for Kelly Clarkson herself. While Blake delivered the joke, Kelly's immediate reaction, laughter, mock horror, and a quick pivot into self-deprecating wit reminded everyone why she's remained America's sweetheart long after her idol win. She doesn't just endure chaos, she amplifies it, spinning it into humor and warmth. Watching her roll with Blake's jab reminded audiences that Kelly has always been more than a powerhouse voice. She's resilient, funny, and unafraid to look ridiculous if it means making people laugh. For fans who've followed her through personal highs and lows, her ability to laugh in the moment was inspiring. It showed that strength doesn't always look like stoicism. Sometimes it looks like belly laughing at yourself with millions of people watching. The entertainment industry, ever eager to monetize lightning in a bottle, has already begun scheming. Insiders whisper about talk show segments designed around the Country Cousins theme, where Blake and Kelly could co-host as a recurring bit. Music producers are reportedly nudging both camps about a tongue-in-cheek duet, something fun and radio-friendly, maybe even titled Country Cousins. Record executives understand the stakes. A song like that wouldn't just top charts. It would dominate culture in a way few tracks do anymore. Even more tantalizing is the idea of a surprise release, announced casually on social media in true chaotic fashion. Fans have speculated endlessly about this possibility, dissecting every Instagram caption, every casual interview answer for hints. Meanwhile, The Shelton Clarkson effect has started reshaping expectations for celebrity friendships in general. For too long, fans were fed a steady diet of contrived rivalries, scripted romances, and carefully curated bestie images. Blake and Kelly blew that apart by showing what real, messy, unfiltered friendship looks like. And people loved it. As a result, younger celebrities are beginning to lean into showcasing their chaotic bonds too. From TikTok stars to up-and-coming country duos, there's a new awareness that audiences don't just want perfect polish. They want authenticity, even if it comes with a little embarrassment. In this way, Blake and Kelly have set a cultural precedent. It's also worth considering what their friendship represents in the broader American imagination. They're not just two celebrities cracking jokes. They're two people who embody the crossroads of American culture: cowboy heritage and pop stardom, Oklahoma grit and Texas fire, slow-drawled humor and lightning-fast wit. They mirror the push-pull of tradition and modernity, rural and urban, country and pop. By standing side by side, laughing at themselves, and embracing the weirdness of their connection, they send a message that feels especially important in a divided cultural moment. You can come from different worlds, disagree about barbecue, joke about toothbrushes, and still be family. For Blake and Kelly, this moment is also a reminder of their own legacies. They're no longer just active artists. They're cultural figures whose careers have stretched across decades. Every new viral clip, every chaotic laugh, adds to that legacy, ensuring that they'll be remembered not only for their music, but for the joy they brought audiences together. Someday, when documentaries are made about this era of music and television, the Country Cousins moment will feature prominently. Not because it was scandalous, but because it captured the essence of who they are and why people love them.